JUNO-nominated, the Devin Cuddy Band has just released another addition to their growing catalog. The new album's called Dear Jane, and it came out November 3rd. And joining me, Devin Cuddy. This is exciting for you. This was 5 years in the making?
Yes, it was. So the meat of the record was recorded pretty much before the pandemic, and we just added a couple things in the last year. So we have been waiting to put this out for some time, and it feels very good. Finally have it out there.
During the pandemic, were you mastering it, or were you doing more writing?
So the big reason was that we need to tour to get our record out there. That's kind of where we live in the music industry hierarchy. So I felt that it would have fallen on deaf ears a little bit without touring to get it out there. So I didn't want to put it out during the pandemic without being able to support it by traveling and playing it and doing live shows in support of the record. So it was maybe a hesitation, but also I sort of am glad that I did, because I feel that it's more effective for us to kind of go play the songs for people live to get them to enjoy the record more.
And you just started some live dates. You had your CD release party sold out in Toronto, and that was at the Cameron House back room?
Yeah, we did 2 nights there, the hometown, home base in very many ways, like Cameron House is for us. Yeah, we move on from there.
Well, your label's through them too, right?
We used to run a label out of there, but it's sort of gone slightly defunct now, so this one's put out independently.
Okay, so you're heading on the road again. You're heading to Ottawa this weekend, then Hamilton, Peterborough, to get that music out and live.
Yes, places where we love playing and love coming back to is the best way to start getting the record out there.
And your music? A lot of it's about people. Dear Jane. I love that song, Unemployable, too, about your buddy Bill. I feel like if we had this music during the pandemic, we might not have been so lonely in our houses, because there would have been all these people on your album with us.
Yeah, and it's funny. One of the things that I realized during the pandemic was, as I tried to write, just in general, and maybe a little bit to add to this record, I couldn't find any inspiration. And I sort of realized for the first time that my inspiration is drawn from interacting with people. And you get a lot of that when you tour and working in the music business. You end up especially in Canada, you can be in vastly different types of places, like Vancouver to rural Saskatchewan to Newfoundland, So I realized that was where the source of most of my inspiration, as sort of like a pseudo storyteller, I guess. So it was a little unproductive for me, creative-wise, during the pandemic. Dear Jane was the one song that I got out of it, but that's sort of connected to this record in my mind, because I like to sort of tell stories about people and take their voice a little bit.
You're touring around Ontario right now. Are there plans to go beyond that?
Yes, we're formulating plans to go west, and then I just came from the East Coast with my brother and dad. We did some family band touring, so I'll go back to there later, probably in the spring.
And your dad's Jim Cuddy from Blue Rodeo, and you got to hit that national stage pretty early on, right out of, you went to York University for jazz piano, right?
I did, yeah.
And then you were hitting that stage opening up for Blue Rodeo just after that. So were you playing jazz, or were you playing this roots rock type of music that you do now?
No, it was the roots rock stuff. So after university, I started playing solo, my own stuff, and then after about a year I added a band, and then another year and a half or almost 2 after that we recorded our first record, and then it was another 6 or 8 months before we started touring at Blue Rodeo. So yeah, we were very lucky to be able to do that, and it really helped us get the first record out there and get our name out there. And yeah, it did a lot for us as players as well. Playing on the big stages was a good growing experience. We're very lucky.
So, and as you're touring around now throughout Ontario and the rest of Canada, are you going to be writing while you do that? How's your writing process work? Do you kind of take notes and then write it later, or?
Yeah, it would be that, taking notes, whether they're literal notes or just sort of memories, and doing it later. There's not a lot of time on the road to do stuff like that. And I find, this is not true for everybody, but for me, kind of in a different headspace or mode during that. And a lot of it is getting from A to B, staying sane, and playing the shows and performing every night, and making micro adjustments based on where you are and what's going well and what's not. And then when I come back and have time at home, I sort of leaf through those memories. And some of them don't necessarily come from being on long tours. It could be doing one night in one place that's a totally standalone thing, and you meet one person from the crowd that tells you that, most recent one I can think of is I met a guy who worked for 10 years on a mine on the north shore of Baffin Island. Talked to him for 20 minutes. It's not necessarily that I'm going to write a song about that, but those are things interest me, and I remember those things, and it's something I really love about touring and meeting people.
It's so great that you write about different people, but listening to this new album, Dear Jane, I find that like some of the songs, like Jack's song, kind of has that Benny and the Jets kind of feel, and then Hold On Tight, the beginning made me think of a Beatles song. It's different all the way through, and that Unemployable with the horn section. So did you write the music for the horn section?
No, I should be able to do that because I went to school for music, but I decided to hire that out to a much more qualified and skilled individual. So
well,
I think that was the right choice. Yeah, he did a great job. It's my musical interests, and as a result, my music is a reflection of that. It's sort of broad. So bringing it all together can be hard sometimes, but I find it very enjoyable to have parody in the types of songs that you play. It's fun. Keeps everybody having fun on stage, and it's fun for me too. I like that.
Well, all the best on your tour and with the release of this new album, Dear Jane. Devin Cuddy of the Devin Cuddy Band, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me.